Welcome to Hemp Sisters Nation, where you don't need a reservation. I said, Mama, hello, stand with open arms. Here to warn you with the one more time. Yeah, one more time, baby. Welcome to the nation. I said, welcome.
Good evening and welcome to another episode of the Hempy Hour. I will be one of your hosts, Gina Mama Epps, hanging out with my girl.
I'm Lolo Carter. Thank you.
Together we are the Hemp Sisters over at Hemp Sisters Nation. And today we have a very special guest. Yes, Josef Reed is with us today. Educator, entrepreneur, philanthropist. He has an incredible backstory that we will let him tell you guys. It's a beautiful story and how he used cannabis to better his life. And then we'll delve into some products that he's working with. And he's also going to be a speaker because of education being his passion. So we're going to introduce you to Josef and hear a little bit more from him.
We're going by just Josef today.
Just Josef. Hey.
Hello, how are you doing?
Good. How are you?
We're getting there.
That's all we can do.
Yeah.
Thank you for fitting us in your schedule. I know you've been traveling and you're on these, D8 roadshow, so to speak, right?
Pretty much, yeah. We start about an hour west of New Orleans, and we're driving out to Orlando. Currently stopping in Tallahassee on our way.
Awesome.
Lovely.
Heading to our favorite state of Florida. We hope to be there one day.
Yeah.
I hope to see you here.
We hope to be there, Josef. Believe us. Our soul already lives there, but we have to get our bodies there.
Right.
I'm sure.
So if you don't mind, Josef, if you could, introduce yourself to our viewers and our listeners and, tell them a little bit about that incredible story that you've shared with Lois and me.
Yeah, so I'm Josef Reed. I'm obviously in the hemp industry. We've been looking for our way into the industry for quite a while. And really, I've got 11 years sober, and it all started with me going to a rehab facility in Florida, over 11 years ago, and to find my sobriety. Pretty humble beginnings, as many of us have. Just a small town Iowa boy that had bigger dreams and found it in the military, and ended up getting a college education because he went to the military and being able to have like an engineering background. But at the heart of everything, I still had a lot of problems with drug addiction and alcohol addiction, and I was never able to overcome those things. So when I really first started trying, I thought I could just, white knuckle it and put it down and I would be fine. And it obviously just wasn't the way that a lot of those, it wasn't the way that a lot of those things really work out. If you really want to get sober, you got to get a group, and you got to go to, well, for me anyway, I had to get a group and I had to go to meetings and really have some inflection and things. But for the cannabis related, the mental aspect of alcohol is one thing, but it's really physically debilitating, and it can get very, very bad. And I was 32 when it was happening, and I was getting the physical shakes, and I was getting things like that. So the easier transition for me there was using cannabis here and there in order to overcome some of that. And that really eventually led me to being completely sober.
That's beautiful.
Withdrawal is more, life-threatening than any other detox or any drug.
Sure.
Cannabis and alcohol, in a substitution, it's usually something much greater, because usually with pain, people are, using opioids and other things for pain management, where that doesn't really quite fit. Alcohol is like emotional pain management, you know what I mean?
Right.
So very different. So I for one, appreciate you bringing that in, something very eligible and available to all adults alcohol across the nation, and it has real damage.
Yeah, I mean, with that being said, both of my dad's brothers, so two of my uncles were severe chronic alcoholics, and they both lost their life before they turned 50. So this is, I've seen this from a very young age. And like Lo said, I mean, kudos, Josef, because we've seen the other end of that, and it's ugly. And just bravo, man, because it takes a strong person and to do it, to get through it, to talk about it, to try and help other people not be where you were. I mean, that's what it's all about. And that's what we should be all doing for each other.
Well, I mean, you hit the nail on the head right there. It's all about, it's great that you overcome something. But the first thing that needs to happen in order for you to maintain that is to go out and help the next person that's going through that exact same thing, right? And a lot of people don't realize just how bad it is for your body. If you've never seen somebody in their middle age or higher who are having DTs and they can't control certain things, it's really scary to sit there and watch. And you talk about your two uncles, and I don't know how much of that you saw or how bad it was, but man, the first time I saw that was very eye-opening and scared the shit out of me.
Scared the shit out of me too. For sure.
It definitely keeps a person sober when they see somebody else going through something like DTs and all the other, having to go to the doctor for so many different problems that are alcohol related.
Right.
You decided to tackle and face that addiction and try to make changes and go through that. Where did you apply cannabis? What were you utilizing cannabis for in that place, in that transition?
Well, it really first started with my lazy Sundays, right? Where you're going hard.
Right.
Monday through Saturday, you're going hard, and Sunday you just need to lay on the couch. It used to be a joke between some of us on how I would just hit the couch and I'd get high a little bit and then and pass out, and that's what I would do. We called it assuming the Sunday position. But as gradually as it went on, there was more usage of that and less usage of the alcohol, and people would actually tell me how different my mood was and how a different person I was on each one, and I could still function and this and that.
Now, how much did that affect you when you heard someone that you cared about lay that out to you? Like, hey, when you smoke, I see this Josef, and when you drink, I see this Josef. Is that kind of a reality check? You have to have the right person or people tell you that, right? Because the wrong people would tell me that all the time. Listen, I came to the acceptance that I was an alcoholic when I was 16 years old. I first started drinking and drugging pretty heavily when I was 14. And when I was 16, I knew I wasn't going to live to be 18. And when I was 18, I wasn't going to live to be 21. And that's just how I lived in incremental pieces. And I really thought that I was going to be 17 years old and the snow in the ditches was going to melt and they were just going to find my body in a ditch. And that's how I lived as a teenager. And people always told me how different I was when I'm drinking and when I'm this and that. You just don't care, because when you're in that state of mind, you don't care who tells you anything. Right.
Until you see somebody that you actually value. Right. And then you emulate things that they're doing, and you will kind of see yourself, or I could do this, or I could that, and whatever. And it does. It takes you hearing it from the right person, I think.
Sure. Yeah, that makes sense.
The mentoring, the leading by example, part of what you started with this conversation is you're going through an experience and then sharing that, and you become that person to a stranger even at some point. You know what I mean? So there's so many people just kind of sitting in dark spaces in their heads and in their life, and it doesn't, if they're listening to even just an ounce of what anybody's saying, they might be able to find that value and that connection and find light.
Well, and I bet there's plenty of people that greatly underestimate alcohol, like you said, it's on every corner, it's everywhere, it's at the grocery store, it's at the corner store, it's at the gas station, like it's been our entire life, so there's no thought about it. But it being that easily accessible comes with some consequences that, again, I don't think people put much thought into.
Right. The difference being, of course, is just the toxicity.
Right.
When we're talking about cannabis being available to all people, we don't have the same statistical train wreck that follows it.
Right.
Which is really another part of the education process, because again, we have cannabis kind of categorized wrong in our medical life, in our journals. So
Right.
if you throw it in the category with alcohol and heroin, meth, how do you can't have two separate conversations? They're both in the same category of things. They both have the same devastating results, etc. And that is another fundamental problem that we all have when we're trying to talk about how cannabis helps us heal, or or whatever, tackle life in general. So
right.
Yeah.
Well, you nailed it.
I would have to say the transition from opiates to cannabis is, and I've seen it firsthand, right? Like I went to a rehab facility where I was inside the hospital for my first 30 days, and then they transitioned me to an IOP. It was a very long process. It was almost a year long. And each stage you got a little bit of liberties back. I mean, almost like jail, right? Where they take everything away. But you need to be stripped of all these things in order for you to realize who you are, in order to realize where you're at, what got you there, why you're there, and ultimately what's really going to get you out.
Right. And what really matters.
Yes.
We go into these places with terrible coping mechanisms. We can't carry them with us in there. We're trying to relearn how to handle life and understand ourselves to be not in these positions. So you're right. I definitely understand the jail,
Yeah, Joseph, I mean, I know you don't know most of the we both have addiction battles. So I had an addiction issue with Xanax and Valium as a very young 20s, 23, 24 years old. And Lois had her own demons, so we feel this story to our core, and it's changed our lives. We've learned, we've grown, we've gotten past this, and now our whole mission is to educate. And, you're just such a breath of fresh air, bringing in another whole end of what this plant can do and how it can better your life. I mean, it's just so beautiful.
But being able to get people off of opiates with something as just regular cannabis is so eye-opening to me. And I could go down so many different roads on topics of the politics involved, or the, why we can't have this or why we can't have that. Ultimately, there's a lot of people that put everything on the line in order for us to be where we are today, in order to have medical marijuana.
Right.
There's still people in prison today that I feel shouldn't be because of something as minimal as a plant that grows wildly and put on earth by God well before He did human beings, So.
Absolutely.
I think we're seeing the legislation has picking up the opinion of that issue, because I think if people that are prosecuting for these things and stuff, they personally don't feel they should be doing a lot of that. You know what I mean? So it's really this bureaucracy, this red tape bullshit, and people's lives continue to get ruined,
Right.
But I think as a nation and understanding cannabis and everybody knowing somebody that either is affected by it negatively or positively, like, you don't have to look far for that.
No, it's
so we really need to
Right. I mean, though, we were laughing a little bit ago before this. It's not even funny, but, if you don't laugh, you cry sometimes. We have an experimental vaccine that was just approved by the FDA, yet cannabis and hemp is still like, we don't know, like, maybe this plant helps, but there's decades of research that shows you exactly what this plant can do. And it's just, it's laughable what happens around us. It has nothing to do with us or our health or what's, the best for humanity. It's whatever lines the pockets of the powers that be, and it's disgusting.
I mean, we as a people have just come to accept that as being true, and like it's just acceptable daily actions. And it's terrible that I feel it's terrible that we have succumbed to that. It's almost like we just accept the fact that, I'm going to use your vaccine because it's, a lot in the news.
Right.
But they're not even going to finish their trials until 2023, and it has an FDA full acceptance, and we still
Sure,
can't
right.
get something. Like marijuana, I believe the first record of research was in like the 1940s. And you can't
Oh yeah,
tell
and
me.
then it goes back thousands of years if you go by, you know, what you found in Mayan caves. Like, you know what I mean? It's
Right.
crazy.
Yeah, you can't tell me that's been going on since the beginning of mankind, and we don't have enough evidence or science to back any of these claims.
Right, it's laughable. It should be in everyone's garden and it's illegal. Like, no, it's a joke. It's a joke. But you can poison the shit out of yourself legally all day, every day.
All day, every day, absolutely. You know, cigarettes.
Literally every pharmaceutical that is known today goes with marketing and doctor and FDA backup and support, and every single one has
Detrimental side effects.
hurt a lot of the population. I think we always, and since we're talking about vaccines, we do these studies and we do these things and we look at people statistically. This particular place, this particular location, this particular body type, maybe whatever. When we don't have healthcare on the, hey, you know what, Lois, you don't leave your house ever, and your blood works, all of these things. We don't look at individuals,
right?
And then treat them for themselves. I understand the workload that goes behind doing that, and to know that, but if it's do no harm, then we have to do that.
Right.
We have to do that.
There's a lot to it.
A lot to it. Oh God. All right. So you went through the rehab and alcohol. You're 11 years, and that's huge.
Amazing.
I mean, that's amazing, man. 11 years sober is, not that it's gonna keep work. You're not. You have to work it still, but you really got practice for you to not be, and that's huge.
Is cannabis a part of your, or is and was cannabis a part of your entire journey, like the past decade-ish, or is it more recent, or up and down?
I wish I had a real definitive answer for you on that. It's definitely what I used to help me get away while I was away from drinking every day like I was. And then, I definitely went a very long time without anything. And I'm not the type of person who really likes to just smoke a joint and get high and then go on about my day. I was never able to do that. And I could with alcohol because I'm the type of person that alcohol really hypes me up. Okay. And it's so weird because I would get really hyped up on alcohol and somebody say, oh, you need some cocaine to calm down. Right. And that's my
you don't hear that much.
You don't, man. It's weird though, isn't it? So I couldn't do that. I couldn't walk around all day like that. And for more of the physical side of it, and as I get older, all the aches and pains that I'm starting to get, my younger self did not do me any favors, right?
Us too.
Right. My back pain and things go away. But what the advances that we've honestly have now in the way that people are able to get and work with different cannabinoids on top of whatever type of cannabis you have that really spot on to this particular type of anxiety or this particular type goes to this or that has, it has helped me a lot within the past, 4 or 5 years. It's great.
Awesome.
I mean, there's still a lot more research going into it. So
right. Now, is that what kind of inspired you to come up with a product line to try and, become part of the industry and help yourself?
So I've always wanted to get in the industry, right? It's always intriguing. I had a 9-to-5 job. I have an engineering background. And I don't want to say the stigma of the industry or whatever. I just never knew where I could fit in other than I'm an addict, right? Like everybody, that's how I fit. I'm an addict. But with the brand and things like that, I think that the ones that we have now, if they were around 15 years ago when I really started to try to get sober, I really think I would have had a much faster and easier transition into a sober life that I have today. Sure. And I see that with so many different people. And I don't know, with the products that I have, they're more fun. as opposed to medical. But, I also have to ask myself, what is medicine, and does it make it medicine because it's in a pill? Does it make it medicine?
I'm glad you're saying that because, I told you a few minutes ago, like I started cannabis, I was 23 years old, and
Right.
I didn't know anything. To me, it was a terrible, scary drug, and that's why it took me so long to even try it. But I finally tried it at 23, and I didn't get all crazy high. I didn't get all this scary feeling everyone told me about. Like my body evened out. I felt good. I felt calm.
Right.
I felt less anxiety. So there was not a doubt in my mind. And we were only smoking then. It's 2 decades ago. You're only smoking. We had no clue that this was medicinal, and this is why I was feeling so good, and it was working so well for my body. But now 20 years later, with all the the education under the sun, we know that it was literally my body balancing out. It was my body coming to homeostasis and getting to this place I had never been, and the severe anxiety that was crippling me was non-existent. Like I felt like a new person. So we didn't know then it was medicinal, but there's no doubt this plant's medicinal no matter how you're using it.
Correct. And you go into any, like the Walmart pharmacy or, wherever you go to get your regular medicine, right? Your cold syrups. But that's what you have. You have effervescence that you drop into a water and it fizzes. You have chew tabs. You have soft gels. You have all those things. Well, now we have the exact same things that's in the cannabis industry. And even those get knocked down too, because, it's not FDA and it's not, but how are we able to get FDA if you have specifically knocked down research for the past 50 years?
Right. And then there's people like Lois and I who see FDA approved and we're like, whoa, that's scary. You know what I mean?
Whenever I hear a company that's getting FDA approved, XYZ or this or that, I always immediately go look to see who their new board member is and see what their status is of the FDA.
Right. That doesn't excite us.
No. It amazes me that you have to go out and get a prescription for CBD in some places.
Oh my God.
Idaho. I was supposed to confused.
Yeah.
No. I will go on and on about the state of Iowa. I lived there. I'm from there. I was born there. And the laws that they have there are the most backwards cannabis laws in the nation, I think. So.
My God.
I mean, I actually rode a horse in Iowa to a bar, and then you could there was in the saloon days, tie it up and walk into the bar. Yeah, they're really backed up over there. Wacky.
But can't smoke a cannabis cigarette.
Right. Well, we did actually smoke on the porch, but I'm not sure how much risk we could have been in trouble.
Right.
It's funny you say that because we had a hometown bar that put a horse tie in the back of the bar.
I was probably in your town.
For us. It was for my dad and it was for me. And we would get on the horse to ride back home, and we'd be too drunk to drive, and the horse would know how to get us home.
Oh, Lord.
Take that, Uber.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Really an Iowa thing.
Oh, that's awesome.
Iowa.
Something tells me that it's not just an Iowa thing. I think it's, it's an alcohol thing, and
Right, okay.
A country alcohol
absolutely
rural thing. Awesome. Okay, so fast forward now. You found your little path into the industry, and you got some products going, and you're also educating on another level because you were talking to Lois and I about some guest speaking, some speaking you were doing at, where was that?
So we are en route to Orlando for the CBD Expo and Delta 8 conference.
Best state ever.
It is. I spent a lot of time here in my life.
Go on.
Yes, we're looking to move back actually. So, but it's the first Delta 8 conference that we've ever heard of. So we immediately needed to get involved, and we got a booth. They asked for panelists. My particular panel is a duel. All I saw was duel and argument in the thing, and that was it. So I signed up for it. Right. Yeah. Yeah. I really wanted to get up there with the glove, and hit someone and challenge them to a duel.
There was a time in my life that was scary, but it's kind of like
It's really fun.
I always tell Gina, why don't we just get somebody on the show that just doesn't have anything close to the opinions we have? Like, I need to get it out. You know, we need to get like debate, a good, healthy debate.
Yes.
That's how you move forward, period. Like, that's why lawyers do it. That's why schools do it. I mean, we don't, that's a huge skill that we really need to like practice better in everyday life, because now with the internet,
It's borderline illegal to disagree with people. Like, you can't have an opinion. You can't tell someone you think something differently.
Yeah, it's a panel. I think there's 4 people on each side with the moderator. And of course, I'm on the 4 side. I don't know why anybody would be on the other side of the table, to be honest,
Right.
especially at a Delta 8 conference, right? Who's going to show up and say against it?
I'm the asshole, right?
Right? I mean, somebody's got to do it. No, I really don't even know what to expect from that. Yeah,
Do you know if it's going to be live? Are they going to be streaming from there? Do you have any idea?
They are not going to be streaming, from my understanding. And we have been told that we can bring a camera in, or have somebody bring a camera in to, while we're up there on panel and video all of it and stuff.
Good.
So I need to find somebody to do that.
Yeah, please let us know, because you know what I mean. We have a large network. We can share all that when you get back, and make sure you get your education out there.
Well, I think it would be very wise of them to be able to do that for every single one, because we have 2 different parts, right? Like, we have the Delta 8 conference that's going on in one section, and then the other one is the CBD Expo that's a little bigger of a room. So we have 2 different rooms, where one is all day for CBD and the other one is all day for Delta 8. And of course, ours, we're promoting all Delta 8 products with our line, but it's really food delivery technologies. And normally when you think of technology, the first thing that comes to mind is Google or Elon Musk or whatever. But getting more and more into it, the technologies that goes into food is crazy. And what we're able to do with that, add it with other vitamins and this and that for different effects is kind of what we've stumbled into, and not just getting high. So
I love it.
Yeah, that's a great argument to keep on the top of your mind when you're going into that debate. I assume it's probably going to be something very, the fears surrounding the similarities of D9.
Yeah, they'll talk about probably driving high, or if it's dangerous to kids. There's going to be some stupid shit that doesn't affect majority of people.
Right. Adding D8 into the conversation has been going on for 80 years.
Right.
So now we just have to add that one in.
Now, do you personally like, or do you feel a difference between D8 compared to D9? Like, have you used both, and do you feel a certain way towards one or the other?
I honestly do prefer the D8 more than I do regular cannabis. Like I said, I couldn't be the person to smoke a joint in the morning and then go about my day. I have plenty of friends who can, and I just could never do it. And I would look at them as like so astonished at how you're able to
look at me. That's how Lois looks at me.
Right.
Frankly, my only theory in my later life here is that I think that's because of my addict brain and when I've done with it with other drugs, that the D9 always like invokes negative experience for me. I go into instant wheels of like paranoia or just not wanting to be around people a lot of the time, and I feel it's just like I've been rewiring my brain against other drugs. Like it alerts me in a different way, and I don't like it. But the D8 just gets me right there, right before that feeling starts, and I don't usually cross over it, So
right, no, that's a good point.
The only thing I don't like about it is that it's called Delta 8. Like, if there was a different name for it other than like the word Delta and then a number, it would just be so much more attractive, and people wouldn't give the second thought.
It's confusing the shit out of people. No, definitely.
Right? Especially
when confused.
Well, especially when everybody on the vendor side or the manufacturing side is in such a race to get to that next new thing. Now we got the Delta 10s and we got the this and we got the people haven't absorbed the education on cannabis, let alone
we can unleash 10 different THCs, right?
Correct. And I think that's where a lot of the overregulation and stuff is going to come from, in my opinion, is that they are going to have to say, okay, we need to slow this down because it's just way too fast for too many people.
Sure. Well, like you're saying, the education's not going with it. So maybe, someone like my mom might think she's getting a little treat at the store and, you know, it's just going to make her pain go away. But then she drives home and gets rocked and is high as a kite doesn't, you know what I mean? They don't understand. And I don't even think this should be sold unless education goes with it. You know what I mean? At the little counter, there should be some kind of sign that tells you exactly what's in that and exactly what you may or may not feel.
Sure, irresponsibility and hurting people, right? I mean, that's the main skirts of, you know, why we have the FDA now.
They would never hurt people.
They would never.
Sorry.
But that was basically the truth in labeling laws, meaning whatever's in this, I have, as a purchaser, has to know what's in that, you know? So it's more of a, again, regulating people to, you know, whatever. But now, like with cannabis, without having any oversight, like our entire society is used to having certain things happen in a certain way. So if it's being sold and it says it's for my house, like I assume somebody's checked into that fact or, you know, whatever it says on the label, back to truth and labeling laws. And we don't have that. All we have
now,
is...
what if the insert of the thing is blank? If the insert is blank, should you blindly inject that into your body or no?
Well,
anyway, where were we?
I agree with you completely on the truth and labeling laws, right? And I have yet to run into anybody that's like a real manufacturer who says, yeah, we want to pump all this out there and we just, you know, we don't care about the people. Like it's very few people do I actually run into that are like that.
Right.
Especially from our side, you know, from my side, that's whether a vendor or a manufacturer or this or that. But we still don't really know what we're getting when we go to that Walmart pharmacy and we're getting some cold medicine off the shelf because they don't put anything on that label either.
No, or you'll get the proprietary blend of fuckery. Like
that's it. All you get.
There and called cannabis a drug all day long, and how people should be locked up for using it. It's not going through the same protocols other drugs go through. It's not approved for anything. It's just a fucking narcotic, right? So there's that. And they go and buy the actual narcotic that has been studied, but we're the assholes.
Right. As their livers are being eaten away.
I don't know. It's the word's not.
We've lost common sense. Like we've lost common sense. Like if you look at this stuff in just black and white, you can make educated decisions. And like you're saying, people are blinded by the doctor, the pharmacist, the shelf at Walmart. Like that's what's okay. You know, if it's not there, it's not okay. And that's just what embedded in their brains. Right. Ask questions until it's illegal. Keep asking questions. And then quietly ask questions.
Well, that's the thing, right? You started saying it before and then you kind of stopped and you brought it up again. We're not allowed to question anything, right? Anymore. And I don't know who is and who isn't in the education system for a while, and maybe they've seen some things change in the past 30, 20, 10, 15 years or whatever. But I'm telling you, they are not allowed to ask questions. I wasn't allowed to ask a lot of questions, you know, when I was there 30 years ago, and it's even worse today. And
Josef, I taught health. I was a high school health teacher for 15 years. I literally had to resign for refusing to teach propaganda. I no longer had a career because I wanted to talk about this plant. And they're like, oh, no. This is a drug. It's going to kill everybody. You can't do that. Like, what?
Talking about like, theosophical, asking questions is a theosophical journey, right? It's not curriculum. You know what I mean?
It's what a teacher lives for.
It's like 2 + 2 is 4. It's like, I have a question. How come?
Right.
You know, theosophically, it's, well, why is it 2 + 2? Why is, you look at the larger picture of things. And that's what we like to do, looking at the larger picture of things, because that's where you engage and that's where you can actually get beyond yes, no, you know, there's a lot of maybe out there, right?
Right. Well, and Josef said like how education has changed. Like when we were kids, probably wasn't great, but you learned some decent shit. By the time I was a teacher, shaky as hell. I mean, just shaky. You didn't know what the fuck I was supposed to say from day to day. And then now our kids are in school and they're 8, and we're like, okay, homeschool for the win. Like you're never going back in that place. Like it's crazy town. Like what's going on in the education system.
It's amazing you say homeschool is for the win, right? I want to take it back to the prairie days where we have a coalition of homeschoolers, where we have like some 5, however many families we have that with the kids in the small, whatever. And
that's everything we want.
Right. Each family is responsible.
Right, without the weird compoundy feel.
Right.
You know?
Right.
Well,
cooking in a community garden and actually learning life skills, things we need to be adults.
I definitely believe in that a lot more than what I've seen and obviously what I've heard. But we can't question all the media disinformation.
No,
And
don't
a
dare.
lot of people have been have woken up to what the media really is these days.
Right.
I mean, Gamergate goes back a very long time ago, and I believe that was the beginning of people really starting to wake up and say, "Oh man, what's the media doing to us?" And it was over video games,
Right.
and then it just metastasized into what it is today. So
Right.
you take what they've been doing in all those other industries, and then you move it into an industry where they don't want you to be informed about something you can grow at home to make you better anyway.
Right.
So
Which is why it's urgent. Pack all the information you can in now. Try to get as much information and plant the seeds in people's minds, so that when then people start to have these things removed from their lives, they feel like call of action to stop that from happening.
Josef, when does that conference start where you're going to be speaking? Is that this weekend?
it is it's on the 27th, which is 3
Okay.
days. What's today? Today's Tuesday, so Friday and Saturday of this week.
Okay, can you make sure when we get off at some point before then you send us whatever info you have, get us a link. I want to make sure we get some posts up, tag you. Let's get some people this event to our favorite state ever. Love it.
It's a pretty good city too. Orlando's not a bad city to be
Oh,
in.
you're not going to go wrong there. That is for sure. Lo went on vacation a couple months ago. She was not too far out of Orlando. Cocoa Beach?
Yeah, I went to.
I used to live there. I got my phone number from Coco. Yeah.
Oh,
Nice. It was my first time to Florida to like actually visit, and I just didn't want to come back. I mean, I literally, there was just a couple of different stars in line to still be there. But
Did you notice how Ron John's is on one side of the street, and then Cocoa Beach Surf Club is on the other side of the street?
yeah, it was being in that area, like on 81A, we were down pretty on the south end, so we weren't down the main pier area.
Yeah.
But I mean, our little motel was so like uninhibited and private beach and just beautifully clean. I mean, there was some kind of a sand flea or something that literally had me for a meal, but
outside of that,
we have questions. You want to play some Q&A with us?
rapid fire, no pressure. All right, Josef, what is your favorite season? Is it Florida?
my favorite season is the waiting season.
Oh, that's awesome.
School?
I like the parts of school that there were parts of it I liked, yeah. But I'm the type of person, that if I didn't like it, I just wasn't involved. I wouldn't do anything about it. I was always in the smart kids classes and things like that. So if you could get me to dial in on whatever it was that you were talking about and stuff, then I excelled at it. So I love the education part and I love the school part. There was just a lot of other pieces that were going on in the ancillaries that kind of took me away from it. But yeah, I loved it.
Good. All right. Are you a morning person?
Sometimes.
Fair enough.
Right? Like when I wake up I'll wake up really excited in the morning knowing I got a pretty cool podcast to do in the afternoon. I can wake up in the morning saying, man, today's going to be a good day.
I love it. That's awesome.
Oh my God. Josef, where do you see yourself in 10 years?
I see myself having a sober living place.
Awesome.
I see myself having a self-sustainable sober living that is cannabis foundation.
Oh, that is beautiful.
Yeah.
If that's going to be located in Florida, Lois and I would like to help you.
When do you want to get started?
Yesterday.
Yeah. And we need to have a VA wing.
Yes.
That's
Got it.
kind of one of our things.
Yeah.
Kids in VA.
Oh, we have lots to talk about soon. Okay, great.
appreciate that.
You can get to Florida quicker. All right, last question.
I can get you there pretty quick. Yes.
I love it. I love it. We got to talk. All right, who inspires you most?
Man, right now it's my daughter.
Aw, how old is she?
She is not quite 2.
Oh, baby.
But she is a genius. Everything, all these good things happened really late for me in life, and she's definitely the pinnacle. So for right now, where I sit today, she's definitely the biggest inspiration that I have today.
Oh, that's beautiful.
And everything at a time. Gina and I both started our families much later in life.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I was 36 when I had my daughter, right? 36.
Yeah, and I was almost 40. It was right before my 40th birthday.
But I think if we had kids when we were younger, our lives would be completely different. And I believe that to be true for you too, right?
Right.
I can't imagine how I would have fucked her life up 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Us too.
Oh, I mean, 100%.
His life, my life, yeah, everybody's. We'd have been a mess.
We didn't have tangible proof of our mistakes.
Right.
You know what I mean? Now everything happening for a reason, and you will do her proud equally.
Yes. Absolutely.
I already know that.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh, Josef, thank you so much for your time.
Yeah.
This has been amazing. Again, if you can let us know whatever you can, a little specific about this weekend. We want to get as much information out there as possible. I would like to introduce you to my network and tag you on LinkedIn and stuff if you don't mind. And let's just keep educating. Let's talk more. Whatever you got going on, let's talk. Let Lois and I know if there's ever anything we can do. Please do not hesitate to ask. We are all in this together.
I am so busy, and I'm always asking for help.
Good.
Always.
Good. That's people's biggest thing. They're afraid to ask for help.
Correct. And that's the one thing that you had to learn when you're getting sober is you have to swallow the pride and ask for help. So you keep saying these things. What can I do to help you?
Oh, keep educating. We need to do something with this educational push. That's where our hearts lie. That's clearly where your heart lies. And outside of a beach in Florida, that's as good as it gets.
What if it's on a beach in Florida?
What do you say? Say it again.
What if it is on a beach in Florida?
I'm going to go upstairs and pack.
I'm on my feet right now.
Yeah, no, Josef, there's no limits, man. You know what I mean? So you get the right people together and the right like mind and the right mission, and nothing will ever stop this. It's going to be a freight train that people can only hope to contain.
And I'd like to add, Josef.
Just Josef. I love that.
There's a story behind everything, and maybe next time I'll tell you the story behind just Josef.
To make products and educate, that I know is sometimes a hard story to tell, but from the other side here, it's one of the most identifiable stories to relate with people. So take pride in that, continue using that. I never wanted to be known and not known as a person that was an addict, and I don't particularly wear that label, right? To talk about cannabis, but people do, right? And people can understand that and they can relate to that. So no matter, I know it's uncomfortable, right? But keep leading in that and lead that light, you know what I'm saying? And let that guide you, because you're going to help a lot of people by just saying that. You may never
more than you'll ever know, right? For sure.
But when our words hit the ears of people, so that ripples off through time, right? So keep up with that, no matter what that story evolves to be, And yeah, keep writing about it, talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's amazing. I can get up there and speak in front of 100, 200 people at the alumni and stuff that we have from the rehab center. A lot of people, some of them are too new and they can't get it. You'll get that one in the back, and that's the one you go for. So
yes.
I really appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you so much for your time, Josef. We really appreciate you. And I don't know if you have a quick minute. You said you had a little story behind just Josef. You can't just leave us hanging like that.
in the chat box, right?
No, so Jacksonville was one of the cities I lived in when I lived in Florida. I spent about 17, 18 years here. And I was in the military, and I got out of the military in Jacksonville. And some buddies of mine had a band called Just People. So I was a smart ass one time, and I got some security T-shirts made up for me, and so we could walk in and be like, "We're with the band. I'm security." Da da da. Well, as a name, I just put like just Josef as a name there because the name of the band was Just People. So ever since then, people started to. I've been called a lot of things in life, but Just Josef and Sober Joe are the two that have lasted the longest.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I didn't see that one coming. I thought I was like, oh, it's Joseph over there. Like, no, that's awesome.
Very cool. Very, very cool. Well, again, thank you for your time. We hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and we look forward to collaborating in Florida.
Awesome. Yes.
As soon as possible.
Want to push for Florida.
Yeah. Don't come to Wisconsin. It's not the same.
No. I can't handle the winters. Thank you so much for everything. Thank you for everything.
Have a good evening. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Oh, how awesome. Guys, we adore Josef. What a great guy. Great mission. I mean, beautiful story. What more can we want? And someone that's passionate about this plant and wants to educate. I mean, that touches our soul. It's all we want.
It's amazing when we have people on that, cannabis is a beautiful space. You find a lot of people like this.
You really do.
And that's really just a testament to how powerful cannabis can be in somebody's life.
Life-changing.
I mean, life-changing, right? And in our experience, it's always positive,
It really is.
So no, it's nice to have that. It's nice to see somebody actively building off of that momentum, that change, that positivity that they got from their life experiences, no matter how dark, and moving people along and forward with it. It's good
Into
stuff.
the light. So whether you are watching or listening, we appreciate you. We appreciate your time, and we look forward to hanging out with you next Wednesday on the Hempy Hour. One love.
What's happening? Welcome to the nation. I said, welcome to the